Please hear these words from the psalmist. I can promise you they are truth. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot slip. God who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, God who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. The word of the Lord.
Thank you, Anna Gill, for reading that scripture and for reminding us that it's true, because I know you know it is true. And thank you, Daniel, for filling in for Kenny. We want to continue to pray for Kenny and Mason. They're back closer to us. They're in Cincinnati, home from their honeymoon, be coming home to Lexington later today. And Daniel, you've done a terrific job filling in. We're so blessed by your gifts and your willingness. Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting alongside the driver in a moving vehicle. The expression riding shotgun is derived from shotgun messenger. That was a term for express messenger in the days of the stagecoach, when it traveled and the person was in the position next to the driver. But apparently the phrase riding shotgun was not coined until 1919, and it was later used in print, and especially film depiction of stagecoaches and wagons in the Old West, of things being in danger of being robbed or attacked by bandits. So a special armed employee of the express service using the stage for transportation of cash would sit beside the driver carrying a short shotgun, or alternatively a rifle, to provide an armed protection in case of threat to the cargo when it was of monetary value. Absence of an armed person in that position often signaled that the stage was not carrying anything of value, but only passengers. Sit with that a minute. No need for protection when the stagecoach was only carrying people. More recently, the term has been applied to a game typically played by groups of friends or family who determine who rides beside the driver of the car. Everyone wants the other front seat, right? And typically it involves someone calling out, "Shotgun, I got shotgun," and my nieces and nephews do that all the time. The phrase is also used to mean giving an actual or figurative support to someone in a situation. It means to watch their back. Friends, I like the transformation of this term riding shotgun, that of moving from the need to guard money to the concept of supporting a friend or a stranger in need. As I pondered Psalm 121, my mind shifted a bit to the Lord's Prayer, and specifically to the phrase, "Deliver us from evil." In teaching this prayer, Jesus draws on the ancient Judeo-liturgical tradition from the Psalms of Lament. Deliver us. Just as his ancient ancestor did before him, he calls on God to come, to stand with, to offer strength in times of trouble. So we could conclude that Jesus offered the first version of riding shotgun as he prayed. God, deliver us. Be with us. Stand with us. Sit with us. Ride with us. Act in the world with us. Give us strength. God, get our back. Riding shotgun with us on life's journey. This morning's Psalms is one of my very favorites. Perhaps because I am at heart still a mountain girl from eastern Kentucky, from the hills of Pikeville. especially in the fall and spring of each year, how I miss the awesome beauty of the changing seasons in the mountains. And I must admit, it's a beauty I took for granted more than I should have when I lived there. I was very fortunate to have grown up in a place where year after year I could experience that colorful change of the leaves against clear blue skies. Oh, I can almost feel my blood pressure begin to lower just remembering the pictures of that mountain scene in my mind. I lift my eyes to the hill. From where will my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. He who keeps Israel will neither slumber or sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand, and the sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time on and forevermore. Oh, we lift our eyes with more than a prayer of need or request. We lift our eyes with assurance of God's presence and God's grace and God's love, and not only with assurance, but with promise that when we slumber, God doesn't. With a promise that when we grow weary and we need to sleep, and I can relate to that, my friends, God lies right next to us, very alert to what we need. With the assurance that when difficult days seem to linger well beyond the passing hours on the clock or the dark clouds on our way, God is riding shotgun with us all the time. You see, put contextually, it doesn't mean that God prevents bad things from happening. Now listen to that, friends. All we have to do is to turn on the television or unfold the daily newspaper or sign on to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and we will see lots of trouble in our world. Natural disasters, it seems, one after another. A young woman diagnosed with terminal and incurable cancer. More and more stories of children neglected, elderly abandoned. Oh, there's plenty to weigh us down this day, friends. And closer to home, right here in our church family, difficult days of unexpected death. Medical journeys we didn't see coming. Financial challenges we find difficult to maneuver from. Relationship estrangements from people who even send you emails and tell you that you're not worthy. Deliver us from evil. The evils of home invasions, gas station robberies, and school shootings. The list goes on and on and on and on. The evil, the difficult days don't seem to discriminate, for across all racial, social, economic, religious boundaries, the reality of life is that evil and problems and challenges occur in our world, in our community, in our life. And I have to say, friends, that if praying, deliver us from evil, means to keep us isolated from it, I haven't seen evidence of God's work, because evil is everywhere. Yet if we can move to the next step of putting the words of Jesus in context, we might say this phrase with new confirmation. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For instead of keeping evil from us, God's deliverance means that God is with us, not if, but when evil meets us head on, as it so often does. Sometime during the course of each day, I'll look at Facebook, admittedly more than once and more than twice and more than 3 times a day. I still need to do whatever you're supposed to do to select whose comments and shares I want to see on my news feed. I've only defriended 2 people in the history of Facebook, but I have unfollowed probably hundreds. And while I see a great many of your postings, most of which I enjoy and approve of, I also see some posting of people I would really rather not see. Rantings of those who are in very difficult theological, political, or social camps. Sometimes, though, I get lucky and see something that inspires me. I'll never forget a few years ago when I came across a post from one of our own and one of our youngest. So those of you who have been at Bluegrass UCC for a while, you'll remember Sean, Shannon, Cedar, and Willow. How I miss that family, and am so thankful that Facebook allows us to remain connected. I send them messages, they send me messages, and we keep up with one another, and they miss us too. Well, the post I think I'll always remember came from Cedar, who was, in fact, for the record, the first baby dedication we ever did at Bluegrass. Cedar's mom, Shannon, posted this on Facebook: "A new first for inducing a tantrum. I apparently set on Cedar's imaginary friend, Bissa the ghost. When I got in the front seat to drive us home from the grocery store, Cedar erupted into screams the moment I sat down and wouldn't stop until I realized the tragic error I had committed." Thankfully, Shannon continued on her post, "Bissa is a ghost. I'm happy to report he made a full recovery once I released him from beneath my rear." And Shannon concluded by saying, "Creepy that our son has a ghost for an imaginary friend." I remember that post. Oh, that we might have that imagination and the confidence and the faith of a child. You see, I was deep into polishing my sermon for this week when I saw that post and remembered it from little Cedar. And I said, "That's it, Cedar. You got it right. Bissa the ghost is a whole lot like God." Shannon couldn't see Bissa, so she sat on him. Cedar was convinced that Bissa was not just riding shotgun, but driving the car, and would do so effectively if Shannon would just acknowledge Bissa's presence. Once mother and son agreed that Bissa was there in the car with them, all was well. And I shared with Shannon then, and I shared with her now, I don't think that's creepy at all. I think it's profound. For Cedar, who is a smart toddler, Bissa is a presence beyond him. Something that beyond what we can see, but a presence that assures him that all is well. Bissa has Cedar's back and has always been present, even when no one else sees or believes in Bissa. There are many faces of God's presence, my brothers and sisters, and for Cedar, it is Bissa the ghost. I can't see God in the way I see you or you see me. I can't hear God in the way I hear you or you hear me. I can't even feel God in the same way I feel you or you feel me. And sometimes I'm so busy, well, the truth is most times, I'm so busy getting in the car and rushing off to my next stop that I sit on God's presence, unaware that my journey is not solo, that God is there to sit shotgun and sometimes to drive, to offer support, to listen to me, to speak to me, and sometimes move from shotgun to the driver's seat. Oh, if only I'd allow it. and see the tantrum for what it is. A new awareness, an awakening, a transforming belief that Bisa, or God, will be with me in whatever stretch of life's journey I'm on. So if you see me scrambling, and if I see you, let's commit to just this. Reminding each other for when we can't see for ourselves that God is right here, right now, and that God will be here right now. Let's remind one another. And perhaps if we too will release God from our rear and into our presence, just like Bisa, God is more than we can physically see, hear, or touch. But friends, that doesn't mean God can't be very real to us. The truth is, it's up to us whether we choose to open our lives to subdue the possibilities of God's presence among us and within us. And I don't know about you, but I want to be like Cedar and believe wholeheartedly in something or someone that I can't see, but whose presence is right there with me, and when that presence can become real, when I will get out of the way. I lift my eyes to the hills from where my help comes. God will never slumber. God will never leave us. Bisa, God, whatever you call the Holy One, friends, rely on that presence. It'll get you through.